like you guys know, goal of this podcast really is to kind of help inform and help kind of the next generation. So we'll kind of start there. How did you get into owning your own business?
So it started I was in lawn care and landscape for years. And then my mom was a wedding planner.
That was so lawn and land care, lawn and
yeah. I just knew I didn't want to like stay. It was either like grow and stay in that field, and I just wasn't crazy about it. My mom was a wedding planner, and I just used to help her on setups basically. And then I saw a bunch of people come in setting up various rentals, and I just started asking questions. I'm like, there was one team that came in and out, and they were in and out of there quick. And I'm like, well, what did that cost? They were in here for an hour, whatever. So then I just kind of started researching the market, found that there wasn't a lot of rental companies in Louisville. So I kind of just took a dive and bought a run of rental chairs on a credit card, took a risk. And then she kind of helped me, like introduce me to a few different like big players in the game. So she helped me book my first couple of weddings. So it was a side business for at least a few years. And then slowly, basically I just kept the lawn care company and just kept reinvesting money. So any money I made, I would just start buying new inventory. And then about 3 years later, it's really started to kind of take off. And then I said, I'm quitting everything and just went all in.
Into that.
Yep.
Yeah. How old were you when you did that?
24. 24 is when I started it. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah. And then about 27 is when I kind of quit everything else I was doing and was like, I'm going to go for it and see what happens.
Nice.
So,
yeah. So you're pretty young when you started all
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
What were you doing before that? So you did the lawn care. Did you start that when you were in high school?
Yeah. So I started that before high school. So I was doing that for many years. So I did it in middle school around the neighborhood. And then when I could drive, my brother and I kind of started a company. And so I did that forever, honestly, until 2017. 2017 was the last year that I kind of mow grass on a regular basis. So slowly I just started like getting rid of accounts that were annoying to deal with. Mm-hmm. And just kept enough, like a baseline basically to survive. So yeah, that was kind of the main thing. So always like entrepreneurial in a way, but
yeah, I could see I've worked you were the kid in elementary school with like the backpack full of candy, selling candy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I've worked other various jobs and stuff too, but for the most part, I've kind of known I've wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah. What do you think drew you to that mostly?
I don't know if it's like I don't want to say it's like a thing with authority or something. I don't know that it's that.
Yeah.
But I really have never liked kind of being told what to do. It sounds weird. It's not like I have an issue with, people telling me what to do, because planners in the wedding industry tell me what to do all day long.
Right.
I just think I always kind of like naturally wanted to like carve my own path. And so I don't know. I've always just been drawn to like doing my own thing.
Yeah. Have you had a regular job, like quote unquote regular job?
Yeah. So I've had sales jobs before. I worked at ADT Security. I was a sales rep for them for a number of years. Again, it was 100% commission. I was still mowing grass during that period too. I did pretty well with that, with sales. I think I'm naturally pretty good at sales. But again, it wasn't anything I was passionate about. And I just slowly just kind of...
Well, are you passionate about rentals?
I don't want to say that I'm passionate. I guess that would be a lie. So I don't want to say I'm passionate about rentals. I think the fact that it's like something that I started, and I'm a woodworker as well. So like when I started like blending the two and like building various things, farm tables and stuff like that, and then renting them, and then they became very popular. That's when I like felt like it was my own thing, and I was like happy that I could build something and people wanted it, and then I felt like that became my passion, where I was like, okay, well, if I build stuff, my return on investment is faster anyway, so I'm just going to keep building things, buying new inventory. So yeah, I don't want to say I'm passionate about weddings, because I'm not. That would be a lie. But
there's always even in your business when you're starting it from scratch and that kind of stuff, there's always an aspect where it does become work. Like,
Right. Yeah. And I'm just to the point now where it's like for many years, I've been working in the business and not on the business. So I feel like just in the last year or so, I've like come to the realization like I'm wearing too many hats. It's time to delegate things and just put people on payroll and figure it out. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Nice. So let's fast forward. You said it was like rewind. You said it was like 3 years into the business, kind of when it like,
it made like a shift. So it was like, I was, my first year in 2014 is when I started the LLC. And I think I probably did like 3 weddings that year. And then the next year I probably did 15 or something like that. So again, it was no, like, I wasn't doing numbers to where it was like viable to like quit everything and just go all in. But I believe in like slow growth personally. It's like, it doesn't have to be fast. I don't want it to, I mean, I took risk by putting chairs on a credit card, but for me, I'm not like a crazy risk taker. I know I could scale on a big rate if I wanted to take a ton of risk, but for me, I felt more comfortable just like kind of letting things come to me and slowly growing. But there was a flip in 2017 where it was like, I started to get a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails and people reaching out, wanting additional things that I don't have. And I was like, okay, well now my phone's ringing a lot. So like I have something here.
Yeah.
So then that was enough comfort for me to be like, I should spend all of my time doing this. So that's kind of what the switch was basically. Whereas like I felt comfortable enough to where I felt like people were going to call and I could sustain. I mean, I was single at the time, but I felt like I can make a living doing this.
Yeah. So it gave you something in there, whether it was the phone calls or like you did the math and you figured out like, all right, this can be.
Yeah. And I was doing so much of this stuff on my own. And then I started like kind of putting a couple of people on to help. But like my margins have always been pretty big, like bigger than a lot of industries. So it was easy for me to like tell, oh, well, like I'm actually making money. And so, you know, at that point I ended up getting a warehouse, found a dumpy warehouse for cheap, put everything in there. And then I just started getting lines of credit basically. So I always feel comfortable being kind of cash heavy. And so I started, instead of getting like loans at a bank, I built my credit up. And so I basically use credit cards as a line of credit. So I'll open a credit card, 0% for 12 to 15 months. And the number just keeps going up. So, you know, I can get 50, 100,000 and I'll just go buy new inventory and then pay it off before I pay interest. And it's a free loan. So I think a lot of people don't do that or use credit cards the correct way. I'm a Dave Ramsey guy, aside from
the fact that you use 0% credit cards.
I mean, dude, it's just credit cards. I think can work. I think credit is important. I don't think I'd be where I am if I didn't use credit cards.
I think there's definitely positives and negatives to it. Yeah.
Well, there's a reason he teaches it, right? Most people do it incorrectly and they put themselves in bad positions. But I think you can like leverage credit instead of paying interest on something. If you want to go get a loan at a bank, you're paying interest immediately. It's like if you can just be diligent on making sure that it's paid off and you're not going to pay any interest, then it's a free money. Keep the cash in your bank.
Well, and then for you, and most people probably aren't familiar with the wedding industry or rentals and that kind of thing. No, of course not, no. So actually, before I get into that, you said something that I think kind of can get overlooked is when you started this business, you said that you did research on the industry. How did you, or like, what did that look like?
I just started Googling rental companies. So I started with just chairs and I just started Googling chair rental, Louisville, Kentucky. I looked up in the near areas, Lexington, just over the bridge in Indiana. And it's just, there's, in Louisville specifically, and it's still this way. I mean, there's just like a handful of like big players that basically run it all. So like, granted, they do everything. So they'll do tables, chairs, tents, dishware, all that, but you're basically like forced to do this. And it's very specific items that they had So I just started looking at like chair options that no one else has around. So each company, and it didn't take a lot of like digging. It's like there's not that many companies. So I'm like, all right, well, what don't they have? And so I just started like looking around on the internet, finding a chair that I felt like was a good price point, that wasn't relatively inexpensive from a rental standpoint. So I just started there. I was like, okay, I'm going to get a chair that no one else has. And then I just, from there, I mean, granted, that was my like whole plan, like, oh, just keep getting things that no one has. But at a certain point, like some of the chairs are just, everyone wants them. Every other rental company has them, but I'm missing out on money if I don't have them too. So slowly I just started adding things that other companies had as well. And so, yeah, it was just like a little bit of market research. Not all markets are like that though. You know, with like your company, there's a million roofing companies. So you got to figure out who is the best one and how do you set yourself apart. But yeah, it's a very niche industry. The event wedding specific.
What do you think is attributed to your success over time? Because obviously most businesses don't make it out of the first year. You were able to take it from a side hustle to full-time job, and now you've got full-time employees and trucks and all that kind of stuff.
Slow growth, I think. Just like obviously having a goal in mind, but not doing too much. I think a lot of companies like really leverage themselves early. And I waited for a long time until I felt comfortable enough. I kept something on the back end just so I wasn't pulling from the company and paying myself
It's kind of
salary.
Conversely what you said earlier about leveraging credit and that kind of stuff. So it's funny that
it is. I'm saying I just felt like if I wasn't paying myself from the company, it freed up money to make sure that the things were paid off. Do you know what I mean? So it was just like kind of more or less all I'm focused on is, okay, the company needs to make enough money to pay the small amount of bills that I have, which is like at the time I just had enclosed trailers that I paid for in cash, my low rent expense, a credit card, not a crazy balance. So it was just like, okay, well, I just kept it simple and small and just didn't get to a place where there's just money going out constantly where it's hard to keep up with. And like, how am I going to pay myself and pay this and pay my rent and whatever? So I think just slow growth and like truly waiting until it really felt right to just be like, okay, well, let's take a risk and actually just go all in and focus the energy. So yeah, it is a little counterintuitive, but I waited to pay myself. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
I think
that was when you were talking earlier about it being a side hustle and that kind of thing. You had said like everything that the company makes, you're putting back into.
Yeah. So all the money I made, I would just go and turn around and buy new inventory. It was kind of the model. It was like get enough inventory to actually seem somewhat legitimate, and then make connections. So I did a lot of like wedding show stuff at the time where I was just trying to get my name out there, and just trying to like meet people in the industry, planners, venues, get on the vendor list is a big thing at these venues. So I just tried to show face as much as I could and like make my name out there. And then my mom, 3 years in, so about the time I really started picking up is when she stopped doing weddings. So it was like, I probably have done 15 weddings or something with my mom over the years. So I attribute like getting started and like meeting the right people to her because she knew the industry and like knew the people I should know. But from that point, it was just kind of like, I'm on my own. I'd ask for advice and stuff like that, but like at that point, she's a planner, so she doesn't have any say. She doesn't really know the rental industry, so I just kind of had to like figure it out. And I've met some, I guess you could call them just people that I bounce ideas off of that have, a similar business. So just talking to people, asking advice. I think that's important,
Yeah. Not being
even if it's
afraid
not
to-
the same industry,
Yeah.
it could be a different industry. I think just like-minded people, being
Yeah.
around like-minded people.
How do you usually find those people, or what do you?
It's tough, man. I've been lucky. I have a couple of good friends who are like, who I grew up with, who are like serial entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I just, kind of staying around those kind of people. I might not think the same way that they do, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they're more, I have one person I'm thinking specifically, my
Mm-hmm.
buddy Antonio with Zeppa's Lawn Care. If you guys need hardscape, landscape, but he's just like, he's of an opposite, a different mindset where it's like growth is
Mm-hmm.
like his whole mindset. So just scaling, getting bigger, which I can understand that business model. But for me, I guess my brain just doesn't quite work the same way,
Mm-hmm.
where I just don't, at least in my industry, I really don't think I need to be for everybody. I don't think I need to be the biggest. I think I can be like niche
Mm-hmm.
and keep cost, you know, as long as the margins are there, I don't think I have to be the biggest.
Yeah.
So I've kind of just kept that same mindset where it's like, we can grow, there's plenty of room to grow. But if I can grow 15% a year, then it's a success for me. So that's kind of how I've kept it, you know.
Yeah.
Small, maybe a small man's or a small business mindset, but keeping it small. I think slow growth is like healthy growth, you know, not like
It's responsible.
Yeah, not let things get out of hand too quick,
Yeah.
you know.
Especially in a niche market, is like
For sure.
don't
Yeah.
want to overgrow like what's possible in the market.
Yeah, so now it's like left me in a place where with the woodworking stuff, I don't get to do I did a bunch of it during COVID when we were shut down and couldn't do events. So I kind of did a lot of like commissions and stuff and got better as a woodworker. And then in the winter time when we're slow, that's like my time to build, but I don't have the time for it really. So now the goal is to kind of shift in 2026 and kind of start like a sister brand where we can start saying yes to things.
Yeah.
So even from a rentals perspective, if a planner or designer says, "Hey, we really want this for this wedding, this client will pay for it," instead of me saying no, we're just going to start saying yes, take on commissions. So that's the goal in 2026. Now that I've kind of delegated some of the hats that I'm wearing, is focus on trying to get, you know, more woodworking stuff in the works. So that's where I'm headed right now.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Sounds like, because you mentioned that earlier, as more like the passion than.
Yeah, I like it. It's just I don't have time. I don't have time for it. So
Yeah. Plus, you have the Ferraris of routers and stuff.
what is it?
He said you had the Ferraris of routers and saws and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, I. That's the other thing. Don't skimp out. You know,
Yeah.
buy the nicest stuff and buy it once. I'm a believer in that. I think you just get the nice stuff and never have to do it again. So
If you were to give yourself advice when you were first starting, what advice would you have given yourself?
That's pretty tough. Delegate sooner. Try to put people in positions with the things that you're not good at or you don't like doing. Just find someone else to do it. I think that I've probably slowed my growth a lot by trying to wear all of the hats and like not letting go, even when it's things like I'm not an organized person, but I've been a bookkeeper. I've been everything at some point in time. And it's caused so much headache over the years where it's like, finally, it's like, I don't know why I wasted my time doing this for so long. I don't like it. It's a pain point. Get someone in place that can do the things you're either not good at or you don't want to do.
Yeah.
It's a delegation. Yeah.
What do you think your biggest holdback? Why did it take you so long to realize it, do you think?
I think it's like, it's hard to let go when it's something that's like your own that you built. I think it's tough to say. I don't know. Maybe it's going back to what we were talking about is like just trying to keep the output as low as I can, like make my bottom line as small as I possibly can, like the money that's no matter what going out.
Yeah. Keep that as low as possible.
Yeah, but I think in the long run, I would have been better off just putting someone in place early on to free myself up to do the things that I actually like to do or what I'm good at. There's some things still where I'm hopping in trucks still, managing people is difficult. So we've got a manager now, Daniel, who you know.
Yeah.
So Daniel's going to kind of help with some of that stuff as well. But yeah, I think delegation it's tough to do. I think when it's like your baby.
I was about to say that's something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with when it's something that they've built from scratch.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
you see videos all the time of like how companies scale, and it's all just like they all say the same things.
Proper delegation.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes I think you kind of hit on both. Is sometimes it's like control of like, oh yeah, it's my baby. I don't want anyone else. Like nobody can do it as good as me, or nobody's going to do it the way that I need it done.
100%. Yeah, and I don't. You know, the girl that I hired a couple of months ago, like I felt really uncomfortable, like letting her see everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one really has known the numbers, and I just had to be like, this is what I'm doing.
It's like you're standing there.
Here's
naked.
all my logins to everything. This is how I do things. I know you do things a certain way, and just like letting it be.
Yeah.
You know, I've always just thought that I can sell better than anyone else, at least for my company. I feel like I'm the best representative, but it may not only be the case, or it's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very female driven industry.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it might be nice to have a woman's touch, and she's done really well. So
Nice.
it's freed up a ton of my time. So yeah, that's why I feel that way now, where it's like, granted, I've delegated some stuff, but like certain aspects that I've still been doing, like hanging on for far too long. Now that I've actually done it, I'm like, I'm dumb for doing this for so long.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but I think delegating early, if you have the income.
I think you still, like you said before, though, you can do it responsibly of like, and then figuring out how that leverages your skills. Like you said, selling and being able to woodwork, and, you know, could you have, if you had delegated some stuff, could you have done a better job of getting good deals?
Yeah, and like knowing your numbers, that's another thing. Maybe, you know, for me, it's all just been like, what are we doing in sales, and like what's in the checking account? Is everyone getting paid? We're looking good. But like not knowing the actual numbers, like for example, now that we're actually to a place now, so I have someone who's kind of helping with, basically they're more or less just overseeing what we do every weekend. And then I basically send them reports of like, this job, this is how much the job cost. This is how many people were on it. This is how much I spent in fuel, sending them those numbers. And then we're getting a figure to find out exactly what percentage we're spending in order to make this job happen.
Yeah.
And I've just really never done that. It's like, I know there's jobs that I've done where it's like it wasn't even worth the time.
Yep.
So I think knowing your numbers and like actually really diving into like the nerdy stuff and figuring out exactly, you know, what it should cost. And then it helps me price jobs. You know, we have a figure that we need to hit.
And you figure out what stuff you make the most money on.
Yeah. So are you talking about like inventory wise? Yeah. We make the most money on chairs still. But we're doing furniture now. That stuff is done really well. So that's what I'm kind of expanding on. But again, slowly. I'm not spending crazy money.
Unless you buy the couch from out in the.
I did like that couch out there. I actually like these two. These could rent. These are a little faux wood, but yeah, they're nice.
Yeah. Cool. So if you were to be talking to someone that's in their 20s and they're thinking about starting a business, what questions would you ask them, or what advice would you give?
I mean, probably the same stuff. It's like, I don't think it necessarily has to be a passion. I think it's like, if you see like some sort of opening in whatever market it is, I think that just like having the right people to ask questions to, whether it's like a mentor of some sort, but just, I think there's people out there. I mean, granted, you might not have access to people that are business owners. I've been lucky enough to like know some. I have some family members that have owned various businesses. So again, it doesn't have to be the same industry, but a lot of this, you know, owning a business, I think there's a lot of the same stuff just from like tax purposes and all that. So I would ask, I mean, making a business plan I think is important. I made a business plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't for anyone. I wasn't like, I just actually needed to see in writing, like, what is my plan? So I think if you have like a legitimate plan and you could start the company without and be able to do something else too. Not a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket and go for it. And then if you're not able to pay yourself and pay everyone else, that's why it goes.
It puts a lot of pressure if you have to grow, and then you can't.
100%.
Maybe you can't grow responsibly.
So I think if again, for me, it was easy to like slowly grow. I'm sure there's some industries that you jump in and start a company and that you're far more leveraged because of the money that it takes to actually like become a company. But if you could figure out a way to like dive into it, but also like pay yourself elsewhere, whether it means working 2 jobs, I personally think that's a good way to go. Just so you're not like, you know, if things go awry, you've at least got some money that you're paying yourself from another job, and you can kind of keep the money in the company and just grind it out for a little bit, you know, hang on.
Yeah. That's a lot of business ownership at the beginning.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, it's true. I think just not trying to like expect reward immediately. I think it's, what is it? I mean, it's the percentage is high of like businesses that fail within the first 3 years.
I think it's like 90%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that it's because people get really leveraged really early, and it's like, you know, if you go and get whatever the business is, go and rent a warehouse that costs $3,000 a month and your overhead is so high, it's like, there's like a thin line from where you start just leveraging money.
Point is tough at the beginning sometimes.
I think so too. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Again, I think I got lucky in a lot of ways. And again, it might be just my mindset, but I've never wanted to be the biggest company. I just think there's a sweet spot in any industry. And I think if you can hit that sweet spot and your margins are good, you don't have to be the biggest.
Yeah.
You know?
So something that you had said a couple minutes ago was, and I agree with this wholeheartedly. So for you, especially because it's a niche industry, it's kind of hard for you to find like someone else that's doing the same thing. But you had said that you knew family members, different people that owned other businesses, and that we talk about it all the time in my mastermind group, is like, it is very similar, whether in different industries, that kind of thing, running a business. At the end of the day, like you said, it's, you have your overhead and you have your revenue, and then you have the bottom line. Like, so
it's the same principles everywhere, you know, even though it's like a niche thing. But I think like learning all that information before you even do anything, you know, and I did not know a lot of this stuff. But I think if you actually are able to like brainstorm with people, especially like peers, like someone that's close in age or just similar mentality, I do think it's important, which I need to start coming to your mastermind thing. I just think it's good to surround yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah.
There is a stat too with like, you are who you surround yourself with. So I think if you put yourself around people that kind of have the same end goal, it potentially just kind of changes your mindset as well.
I think so too. I think I see it a lot with like the guys that come and work for me, is like breaking out of whatever their like family situation is tough. So like if their parents worked at UPS for 30 years and like their dad worked at UPS for 30 years, and then the mom like was a healthcare assistant, and like all they did was check in, check out, clock in, clock out kind of.
And for you, like those sales reps, like they're kind of making their own future, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like
it's the same thing, like you said.
Sky's the limit.
You have to go out and get it, and it's not a regular job. You can't just like punch in at 8 o'clock,
right?
Leave at 5 o'clock, and then it's the same thing as entrepreneurship. Is like, if you don't make sales and connections, and like the chairs aren't going out the door, like it doesn't matter if you worked a 12-hour day or a 3-hour day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, and it's, you know, you are who you surround yourself with. So, so trying to be around granted, I have a bunch of friends that we're not like-minded in that way, but they're still my friends. I just think as like when I'm driving on the road, the people that I'm calling are people that I just want to shoot the shit with that, again, not in the same industry. Like, how's business going? How are things? What are you dealing with right now? That kind of thing. I think it's a good thing, you know?
Yep.
I should call you more, but I don't.
Cool. I don't know. I don't have anything else unless you want to share.
No, I mean, I
Got any funny stories or anything you want to share?
No.
Chiropractor stories. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm all out of whack. Play golf. Golf is good. Golf is a good. I think that you can make really good connections with like high value people through golf, and you can gain some respect at being pretty good at golf from people that are of a higher tax bracket.
We can talk about that a little bit. I could talk about golf for like 12 hours. This could be a golf podcast. If we wanted
Well,
to,
I started golf during COVID when my business was shut down. I fell in love quick. I was a skateboarder, so like opposite ends of the spectrum. I hit like 30. I started getting like riddled with injury, and I'm like, well, now I own a business and I can't get hurt, so I need something. I had a bunch of friends that play golf, just got fully into it, but I've seriously met like some really important people in my life from being into golf. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's another thing too. Like, I don't know. I avoid pickleball. I know pickleball is like a big thing, but I get so into like stuff that I just don't want another thing. But I think like you can make a lot of connections doing like some sort of activity. Golf just happens to bring like a lot of affluent, highly successful people. And I have met some just at Cardinal Club, you know, some people that have like ended up being like a really good connection that I can bounce questions like we're just talking about, and they don't have to be in the industry. It's just like, hey, when with your business.
I think that's a big thing. Kind of hit on is like meeting people outside of like the realm of work and that kind of stuff. And you hit on is like golf and tennis and the racket sports and the country, quote unquote, country club sports and stuff are going to have higher income kind of people. But I've made a lot of good connections through basketball as well. Like, you can, being in that area where you're passionate, you have that connection, and then being inquisitive with those people. You mentioned it multiple times of like not being afraid to ask people questions and like figure out what they do. And golf is a really good space for that because there's so much downtime. I mean, playing golf for like 5 hours on a day, like.
And it could be anything. I mean, I grew up skating with an anesthesiologist. You know, there's successful people everywhere. I just feel like golf is a good way to like, again, there's so much time between you hitting the ball, and I feel like you can actually like pick someone's brain while you're golfing with them. So that's been a big thing too. And I take people out, you know. I did get lucky with my the golf membership.
You have a pretty sweet deal there.
Yeah, I worked out the barter of a lifetime, and I built a bunch of tables for a local country club in exchange for a family membership.
All right, so another thing with you is like, how did you get that? How did you?
So they started renting stuff from me, and I had just moved to the area, like very close. The warehouse is very close to this country club, so they called to rent some bars and stuff for an event. And I just threw it out there. I feel like bartering is dead, and I love bartering. And I'm so into golf, so I was like, it's a private club.
Strike a deal.
Yeah, so I was like, well, this is no sweat off of their back. So I just threw it out and said, well, how about I do these rentals for free for you in exchange for like a foursome round? And they said, that's great. So I didn't end up doing the round. I can't remember why. But then that winter, they called me back and said, hey, we saw you never ended up coming out to do that round. It's still good, but we're redoing our clubhouse, and we know you do woodworking. Would you want to build some stuff for our clubhouse? And I said, well, this has got barter written all over it. So we ended up striking up a deal where basically I built a bunch of like dining tables for their clubhouse in exchange for a full family membership. And again, it's like great for me because it's a little more expensive than I would want to spend monthly for a golf membership. and it's no sweat off of their back because I'm just another member
It doesn't
and
cost
I
them.
bring guests.
Yeah.
So they've just been willing to keep it going. So every year I just build them something new. So yeah, that's been awesome. And again, I've met a lot of people at that club too
Yeah.
that have
Asking for something.
Yeah,
think it's like- I
100%.
think
It
that's a
doesn't hurt to
lost art.
ask. They
It's
could have
a-
said no.
It's a
you know?
lost art in the world. And especially things like that is like,
Yeah, it's
there's
a
always relationships that you have that like, that didn't cost them anything to have you be a member. Like, what is it?
nothing.
I mean,
It's literally
you're a
nothing.
little bit more.
They're
damage
fixing
to
a
the
couple more divots.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I'm still like eating food up there. I'm, you know what I mean, buying
Yep.
drinks. We go to the
The
pool
wife
all
and
the
kids. I was
time.
about to say, wife and kids go to the pool all the time.
Yeah, we
like,
go to the pool. We bring guests all the time. I bring guests to play golf. So yeah, that's bartering, dude. I try to barter all the time, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be.
there's always different relationships. People that, you know, I was reading it in a book the other day. I think it was Chris Voss' book, but he had negotiated. He was doing something for like the bar association. He had negotiated being on the cover story because it's like usually it costs $5,000 to come in and get me to speak. They're like, oh, that's too much. So he settled on like $1,000, and then he was the cover story on like whatever magazine it
Yeah.
was. And like that didn't cost them anything to make the cover story, but for him it was tens of thousands of dollars worth of free publicity and like that kind of stuff. So like,
It works, and I think more people are willing to barter than you think. It's just no one ever really does it anymore, and I think they're like super happy with it. You know, they're like, this is great. We don't have to spend any money to build this stuff. All it takes me like a little bit of time. You know, I think the last like thing that I did for my 2025 membership, I actually tracked it. All the materials were paid for, and from start to finish, I spent about 40 hours of my time.
Yeah.
And it was down season, so I was just in the shop listening to podcasts and building some tables. So
there you go.
yeah, that trade, I got to come up. Speaking of, I got to come up with something new for 2026. So, but
There you
yeah,
go.
bartering, man, bartering.
Get you back into the landscaping. Maybe we put
Yeah,
some stones
maybe.
out for 'em or something.
Yeah. But I think it's for any like, especially like service industries. I think you can barter a ton of things. I think most people are willing. It's just never talked about.
Yeah. That's an opportunity to strike a deal too. Like that's where the magic happens.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. And again, like, who knows? I've been presented some other woodworking projects just because the club has told whatever, I guess, is, oh, we love the new tables. Like, who built these? Oh, one of our members. Here's his number.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like created more for me. Actually, a friend of mine is about to join the club next year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's created opportunity for them. And it's like, yeah, it's a win-win. So yeah, kids, barter.